Welcome to CNN Student News. I'm Carl Azus. This is our last show of 2014. Before we head out for the holidays, we've got a few things to catch you up on. One of them, the U.S. stock market. Yesterday was the best day of the year for the Dow Jones Industrial Average of 30 important stocks. It rose 420 points. Why? Well, the Federal Reserve, the central bank of the U.S., made comments suggesting that the U.S. economy is on track to keep growing. Investors like that. Also, the Russian ruble's showing signs that it's stabilizing. That's good news for Europe. International markets are connected, so a jump in one can help others. Markets from Europe to Asia were making gains. Another story in the headlines, the flu. The Centers for Disease Control says it's widespread in 14 states. In one county in northwest Georgia, 17% of students were out sick and 16% of teachers. So the superintendent closed all 10 schools days before the scheduled Christmas break. Similar situations in other states, from North Carolina to Minnesota. Flu season usually starts in the fall. It peaks in January or February. This one could be worse, partly because officials say this year's vaccine isn't as effective as usual. Bringing good cheer, the roll call is here. We'll start with Nebraska, the Cornhusker State. Red Raiders are watching on this merry date. Loop City High is where they'll all be. From there we head south to Tennessee. Rutherford Junior High is on today's list. The Pirates are watching. They wouldn't have missed. And if you're the type to think cats are cool, the Cougars are here. Cooley Middle School. They're watching in Gilbert, a fast-growing town, giving Arizona more roll call renown. Protests after grand jury decisions, parched land in the Golden State, the public opening of the National September 11th Memorial Museum, and midterm elections that changed the political landscape of the Senate. These are a few of the major national stories we told you about this year on CNN Student News. As we bring our 2014 coverage to a close, here's a look at 10 international stories that captured the world's attention.
Number 10. Pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. Demonstrators occupied the downtown financial district in what became known as the Umbrella Revolution. In late September, police fired tear gas and pepper spray to disperse the crowd, prompting thousands more to take to the streets. After more than 2 months, police clear away the protest sites, the demonstrators vowing, "We will be back." Number 9, World Cup fever. The eyes of the world on the games in Brazil. The host country crashes out in the semifinals. In the final, Germany beats Argentina 1-0 in a dramatic overtime win. Number 8, freedom for 2 American citizens held in North Korea, Kenneth Bae and Matthew Todd Miller. Bae had been held for 2 years.
I just want to say thank you all for supporting me and standing by me during this time.
Freedom for Bae and Miller came less than a month after the release of American Jeffrey Fowle. At number 7, tragedy and heartbreak in South Korea. A ferry capsizes off the coast, killing more than 300 people, 250 of them high school students on a field trip. Adding to the family's anguish, images of the captain abandoning ship. He's now serving a 36-year prison sentence. At number 6, a mass kidnapping that started a movement. More than 200 Nigerian girls snatched from their boarding school by the terror group Boko Haram. The Twitter hashtag #BringBackOurGirls becomes an international rallying cry. But months go by. In November, the leader of Boko Haram says the girls converted to Islam and have been married off. Number 5, Middle East tensions erupt and hopes for peace fade. 3 Israeli teens are kidnapped and killed. A Palestinian boy is kidnapped and killed, possibly in retaliation. In July, Israel launches Operation Protective Edge in response to Hamas rocket attacks. After weeks of clashes and the deaths of more than 2,100 Palestinians and about 70 Israelis, a ceasefire. Number 4, Cold War animosities heat up. Russian President Vladimir Putin stuns the West by annexing Ukraine's Crimea region. Moscow is also accused of sending troops and equipment to help pro-Russian separatists. Then, tragedy in the skies. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 shot down over eastern Ukraine. All 298 people on board killed. The West and the Ukrainian government blame pro-Russian fighters. Number 3, Ebola ravages West Africa. The CDC announces the first cases in late March in Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. By July, officials are calling it the deadliest Ebola outbreak in history. The World Health Organization says more than 6,000 people have died. Liberian national Thomas Eric Duncan became the first person diagnosed with Ebola in the United States. 10 cases have been treated in the U.S., with 2 deaths, including Duncan. At number 2, without a trace, the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. The plane with 239 people on board was heading from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing when it vanished. Planes and ships scoured the initial search area, but there's no sign of the missing plane. Then new satellite data takes the search in a different direction. Pings believed to be from the plane's black box raise hopes but don't pan out. Underwater searches come up empty, and the effort to solve commercial aviation's biggest mystery goes on. And our number 1 international story of 2014, the rise of ISIS. What started as an al-Qaeda splinter group emerges as a major threat. ISIS launches a brutal campaign to create an Islamic State across Iraq and Syria. Militants take control of key Iraqi cities. In August, U.S. fighter jets start bombing ISIS positions in Iraq, part of targeted airstrikes authorized by President Obama.
We intend to stay vigilant and take action if these terrorist forces threaten our personnel or facilities anywhere in Iraq.
The strikes also aimed at protecting minority groups like Yazidi refugees left stranded and starving on a mountaintop. All the while, the extent of the barbarism by ISIS becomes more apparent. America's top general has not ruled out the return of U.S. ground troops to Iraq 3 years after the last troops pulled out. Anderson Cooper, CNN, New York.
Before we go, segments and the punishment that follows are always a fun look at the lighter side of news. Our top 2, we've got to start with otters playing a keyboard. Why? Because otters playing a keyboard. It's supposed to stimulate their creativity. And yard chores are always more creative when you need a helmet. The world's fastest lawnmower has a motorcycle engine, does 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, top speed 117 miles per hour, and it cuts grass. These stories certainly cut the mustard for 2 of our otter videos, but from otters to hot rodders, inventive ottertainment to ingenious attainment, there's always more to talk about, and we won't weasel our way out without the news and puns you hear commercial-free throughout the year. On behalf of our staff at CNN Student News, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. We wish you a wonderful holiday season, and thank you for making us part of your school day. Please join us again on January 5th, 2015.